Hey everybody. I know that I said that I would be coming on at 2 p.m. today, but I have been waiting for my neighbor to stop mowing their lawn. And I think that they just started the leaf blower. So I'm actually live on Facebook and Instagram right now. So I want to just shout out to both of those followers and say hello to both of you. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Today I'm going to be talking about emotional eating and how to cope with it. If you've seen my post this week, you're going to recognize a few of these things. I've been talking about this all week on Facebook and Instagram. And emotional eating, stress eating, those things are something that I am very familiar with. I definitely in the past have been an emotional eater, have those tendencies still sometimes. It never really goes away, but we'll talk about that eventually. So we are going to talk about the difference between emotional eating, stress eating, and also just being underfueled, and some coping mechanisms for that, and then what to expect in the future. All right, guys, so here we go. If you've been following my posts this week, again, these are going to be a little bit familiar, but the first thing that you need to know is that sometimes you are thinking that you are stress eating or eating emotionally, and what you really are feeling is low blood sugar or just simply being underfueled. I talk a lot about this. I have lots of separate posts about what it feels like to actually be hungry. A lot of us experience actual stomach growling, but sometimes we are not quite hungry enough to experience that, but our calories are so low, our energy in is so low that we just feel kind of like on edge, or we're thinking about food a lot, we're obsessing over food. When I am underfueled, I know it because I can't walk past the pantry without grabbing some Frosted Flakes or just something out of the pantry, something carby and sweet. And the reason for that is that it's an ancient mechanism built into our ancient brains. It protects us against starvation. And that is because, back in those ancient times, it was a matter of life or death. If we were starting to feel underfueled, if we were starting to have signals of starvation, then it was a matter of life or death. So we needed to get fast energy. And fast energy is simple carbohydrates that digest very quickly and sugar. Those things go straight into your bloodstream, basically. They take very little energy to digest. And so that's what your body starts to live for. So if you have experienced cravings and if you've experienced, an obsession with food, you can't stop thinking about food, then that is the first place that I would start. Because when I work with my clients, but specifically my nursing clients, that is one of the first things that fixes the problem. And that is just increasing the amount of calories and the amount of food at their 3 core meals: breakfast, lunch, and dinner. More nutrient-dense foods, to be specific, because your body might just be looking for nutrition. So that's where I would start, is am I actually eating emotionally, or am I hungry? Ask yourself, am I getting enough protein and vegetables? Am I getting enough sleep? Because sleep can make you have like the munchies. Also, hormones can make you get the munchies. So make sure that you're taking care of those issues and taking a look at those issues. Are you finding pleasure in other areas of your life? And this is just a matter of making sure that you're fulfilled, because sometimes we look to food for fulfillment. And are you depriving yourself of foods that you enjoy and then just ending up in the binge restrict cycle? So if you're telling yourself all the time, I can't eat this, keto is the big diet right now, and everyone's telling themselves that they can't have carbs. So if you're telling yourself you can't have carbs and you really love carbs, then you're going to end up in the binge restrict cycle. You're going to restrict, and then you're going to end up overdoing the thing that you were restricting. And that's the cycle. And if you've been in that cycle, you definitely recognize it and you know what that feels like. All super, super common things with my clients. And so that's definitely, so what you want to do is not tell yourself, I lack willpower. That's not true. Willpower is this like kind of myth that it kind of lives out there, especially in the fitness industry. And it's one of the most over used terms, I think. Instead of thinking yourself as having power, instead ask yourself, what do I need? And my hashtag for that is don't hate, investigate. Don't hate on yourself. Don't waste precious energy. Don't waste your precious energy trying to tell yourself that you have no willpower, or trying to find willpower, or wasting your time and your energy trying to figure that out. You are going to have plenty of willpower if you are well fueled, and you won't need to replenish it constantly. It is hi Franny. It's an actual physical thing that happens. Okay, so you need to know the difference between those two things. So you need to know the difference between if you're eating emotionally or if you're hungry. And I will tell you that 95% of my clients are actually under eating a little bit. And that might be because most of them are nursing. So they're used to eating a certain way. So we do that first. We increase calories first. And then we take a look at those stress eating behaviors. Okay, so if you can eliminate those causes in your life, and you believe that you are indeed using food to cope with your emotions, then here's the way to get a handle on it. Okay, the first thing you need to do is to make sure that you have a healthy attitude towards your emotions. A lot of us kind of grew up in like dysfunctional ways, and may or may not have had emotions be kind of looked down upon or invalidated. Maybe your emotions were invalidated a lot. So you have to make sure that you are validating yourself and making sure that you are allowing yourself to have those emotions. It's perfectly okay. There's nothing wrong with being emotional. There's nothing wrong with being stressed. It's in how you handle it that makes the difference. So your feelings are valid and important, and you need to tell yourself that. They're here to teach you, they're here to guide you, and they're here to pinpoint issues. So you need to process them because it's an important part of life. And if you're constantly like, I shouldn't be feeling that way, I shouldn't still be feeling stressed, I shouldn't still be feeling this, this way or that way. Those are kind of, unhelpful things and unhealthy things to tell yourself. So you need to pinpoint when that's happening and make sure that you are validating your feelings and becoming aware of them. And that's the next step, awareness. Becoming aware of your emotions and recognizing them is a big part in having them subside, because once you're aware of them, they're not screaming for your attention anymore, right? They are being processed, they're being handled, and so they can kind of die down. They're almost like living organisms. And if you ignore them, they're going to hey, hello, hi, I need your attention, please. And, that's not helpful for anybody. So you need to be aware of them, see what's going on so that you can kind of validate them or, address any situations that need to be addressed. So you just need to sit with your emotions. And what I do, I have a process where I sit and meditate for, 3 minutes. It's not even 3 minutes. I take 3 deep breaths. And I do that by kind of picturing a candle in front of me with a flame. And I take 3 deep breaths and try to imagine making the flame on the candle just flicker, not go out. And I go through that process. And when I'm done, I've kind of calmed my thoughts. I've become centered. And then I just ask myself, what am I feeling? And that awareness, you'll be really surprised at how much that helps with letting it subside. You don't even need to do anything about the emotion. You just need to acknowledge it, feel it, and let it go. So, and I just need to add this disclaimer that some feelings and emotions may be coming from deeply rooted issues that may require guidance and support from a counselor. So, and therapists, I believe heavily in therapists. I have lots of therapists in my family. So if you need therapy, don't be afraid to call one. They are amazing. And if you need one, I know a few. Okay, the next step, and this is the last one, is to ask yourself, what is it that I need? And, sometimes the answer is, I need to stop restricting myself and have a candy bar. Or I'm being too restrictive, so I need some balance. That might be the answer, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But 9 times out of 10, you should be able to find kind of a self-soothing activity. And it really helps to have a list of activities or a list of self-care actions that on hand so that you're not just winging it in the moment. If you have that list ready, then when you're like, I'm going to eat, I really need, comfort food right now, you can stop and look at the list. You don't have to really think about it. It's right there. So I keep a list of 30 self-care actions. I have a book, like a planner that I use all the time for like taking notes. And in the front of it, it has my list of like 30 things. And here's, I'm going to list off a bunch. Listen to music, sing, go to a concert, see a play, watch a great movie, deep breathing practice, meditation, that's a good one, take pictures, ask somebody for a hug, that's usually an easy one, have a dance party with the kids, it's always fun, rollerblading, go for a walk, have lunch with a friend, read a book, take a hot shower, be outdoors in the sun, write something, watch a funny TV show. So the list goes on, and I have 30 of these for a reason, because sometimes I only have time to take deep breaths, or I need a good long walk. So I've got lots of things to choose from, and I tell myself, okay, I can have that comfort food if I want it, but first I need to try one of the things on the list. And I can't remember one single time that one of these things, even though it didn't sound as good as like a bowl of Frosted Flakes, it always works. And then I'm comforted. You have to find a way to comfort yourself if you're stressed out. Find a way to comfort yourself if you're emotional. That might be just one of these comforting activities, or it might mean addressing a problem or addressing a situation, or figuring out a solution to that situation. So that is how it works. And then you need to know that after you kind of get into the process of doing this, it's not going to be perfect. And a lot of people think, oh, okay, here's the tools, I figured it out, and now I'm done emotionally eating forever. It's not like that. And this is true of all our habits. They're going to be our first instinct when we get stressed. And that is because we have developed them over a lifetime. And over this lifetime, we are creating this deep, deep groove in our brain. And that's hard to overcome. And it's going to fire off every single time we feel stressed, every time we feel emotional, because that's been our coping mechanism for our entire life up until now. So you have to really understand that it's going to not be perfect for a while. And you have to have the mantra, progress, not perfection, for the foreseeable future. I would love to tell you that I never stress eat, that I never emotionally eat, that I have it all figured out. There are times when I do. There are definitely times when I still do. However, it's not my instinct anymore. It's not my first go-to. It may pop up from time to time, but for 95% of my life, I am using exercise, meditation, deep breathing, nutrition, those kinds of things are my coping mechanisms for stress. And I have been pretty stressed, guys. It's summer and everyone is home and everyone needs to be driven somewhere. So just had to get that in. So now when you do end up stress eating, think of it as an opportunity to learn and not as a failure. Like, we don't do that anymore. We don't beat ourselves up. We don't call ourselves failures. We do not go down that negative shame spiral, right? That is a bad place to be. That perpetuates this whole entire cycle all over again. So you have to think of it as an opportunity to learn and not as a failure. And this is how you will grow and change. And then over time, you'll practice not only getting comfortable with your feelings, but with coping with them in a healthy way. And if you look around in the world of people you know, everyone is struggling, guys. Like, life is not easy. And especially this part of life where you are just starting out with your family, you've got little kids and probably a career to think about. But life is hard, and we all have coping mechanisms. And some of us are drinking alcohol. Some of us are, taking drugs. Some of us are, exercising. There's a million different ways to cope with stress. Some of them are healthy. Some of them do not do us any favors. So our job is to find those healthy coping mechanisms and just get into the practice of doing them more times than we're doing the unhealthy coping mechanism. And of course, I'm not talking about alcoholism and drug addiction. Those kinds of things are separate. But just in general, we need to find those healthy coping mechanisms for stress eating, and make sure that you are not beating yourself up if it happens. It's still going to happen. That is human nature. And you just have to start clean, start with a fresh slate, and that will be how you do it. Okay. So a good mantra that I like to tell myself for, and this is from my Strength and Mothers mindset course. The mantra for this lesson is, my emotions and feelings are normal and I cope with them in a healthy manner. So you can say that to yourself over and over again. You can write it down, and that will help you to kind of program your brain. You know, you've got the deep groove in your brain saying, when I'm stressed, I eat. Now you can kind of start to override that with a mantra. My emotions and feelings are normal and I cope with them in a healthy way. Okay, guys? All right. I am out. If you guys enjoyed this, please give me a thumbs up. Tell your friends to come and watch it. And I will be here every Wednesday around 2 o'clock, unless my neighbor is mowing their lawn again, and unless everything goes wrong with summertime and the kids being home. So that has been so interesting this week. But let me know with a thumbs up if you guys enjoyed this. If you want more live videos, I will be here. So all right, I'll see you guys soon.